today's honorary gay, Mitchell the Turtle. Currently in a very committed relationship with a plastic log. Aren't we all? So before you say anything, yes, I have seen Jacksepticeye's video. But what intrigued me is the personality test that he used is the same as one that I took in 2016. So I've kept the screenshot for that on my phone for 4 years. Is my maths right? Yes, well done. So I've held onto it for this long time. And 2016 was a bit of a tumultuous year for me, shall we say. I was mid-divorce. I was kind of rediscovering who I was after a fairly traumatic 8 years. Thanks for that, kid. He's gonna find these one of these days. Hi. No hard feelings, but I do think you're a dog. So when I took it 4 years ago, I had INFPT, which I don't even remember what that means. But it also said that I was a mediator. I'm sure that it happened in the same year, or at least near to that year, where I also went on like a residential course, and they made us do this within our team to see who would kind of hold what job. And I remember being really annoyed that every personality test I ever took was basically saying, oh, she's a team player, she's cohesive, she makes everybody work together. She never puts a foot out of line, basically. And they were pretty much saying that I was a fence sitter. So I think what I'm fascinated to see is how much growth has happened in those 4 years, because I'm a very different person now, I feel, than I was 4 years ago. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am still a fence sitter. Also known as never rock the boat, never upset anybody. And that was very much me. I think I'm getting better at saying no to stuff now and maybe standing up for myself more. But we'll see if I've just made that up, shall we? Okay. Take the test. I will take the test. Fast and easy, takes less than 12 minutes. Be yourself. Answer honestly, even if you don't like the answer. It's a lot about me I don't like. Complete it. I'm joking. Complete it all. Try not to leave any neutral answers. Maybe that's what I did last time. Just answered all neutral and they went, oh God, she won't even argue with the test. You enjoy vibrant social events with lots of people. I do. I could live without them, as lockdown has clearly illustrated. You often spend time exploring unrealistic yet intriguing ideas. I have a terrible habit of picking up hobbies, which I then never do again. I own a dance pole, and as my friend said to me, it's not a dance pole, it's a stripper pole. It's not a stripper pole. I think there's an aspect of me that would still really love to pick that up. But because I live in a 1-bedroom house, it's not the most efficient use of my space, imagine. Although, to be honest, I'm better off doing it now than any other time. Could just leave it in my front room and see what happens. Might look weird on video calls. So, yes, I'm a big dreamer, shall we say. I'd read this book called Screw Work, Let's Play. And it was really interesting, and it was all these ideas about how you could make your living out of the thing that you loved. And for me, I think I might have accidentally stumbled into it with stand-up, but that's not making enough money that I could live off yet. But yes, after I read Screw Work, Let's Play, I had this list of jobs that I was like, I can definitely do any of these. And one of them was like dog photographer. Your travel plans are more likely to look like a rough list of ideas than a detailed itinerary. I'd say not really. One of my last trips abroad, before the bad thing happened, I went to Amsterdam with my ex-husband in a save your marriage trip. The thought was, it's going to be our paper anniversary, so if I give him a plane ticket, that's paper. Lovely, right? Aren't I thoughtful? There were certain things I'd already locked down before we even left, so I already had tickets for Madame Tussauds and the Amsterdam Dungeon. I'd already done a whole bunch of like YouTube Googling to see what to do. There was one YouTube video that advised we go to the Blue Restaurant, and have I'm sorry if I butchered that.
Bitterballen.
But it's this beautiful, like, glass penthouse restaurant that you can just see all of Amsterdam. So all of that was already, like, locked in place. I think we're gonna have to hard disagree. You often think about what you should have said in a conversation long after it's taken place. Oh God, yeah. Not only that, I've been known, if I know I'm gonna meet somebody, and this is so embarrassing. Now and again, I have been known to plan out the discussion I'm going to have with somebody when I meet them. When I was in school, there was this boy I really fancied. I can't remember why I knew I was going to be speaking to him. It was something about a cassette tape or a shag band or something. All terribly 90s. So literally the night before was practicing what I was going to say to him so I could come off at my best. That panned out well. People can really upset you. I would have said in the past, people used to upset me at the drop of a hat. I once had an argument with a guy over an eBay thing he bought because he was just so nasty in the comments. I didn't know what to do with him. And if you looked at his feedback to any other eBay seller, he was an absolute jerk to everybody. He's the only person I've ever blocked on eBay. Do you know that you can block people on eBay? But now, this is probably true for anyone who's been through a certain amount of trauma. I think once you come out the other side of it, and especially if you've had counselling to deal with it, which I would highly recommend, I think you hit a point where you just think, screw it. It's my life. I couldn't give a stuff what anyone else thinks. So I think that's going to be pretty high. You often rely on other people to be the ones to start a conversation and keep it going. Generally speaking, like strangers I can start a conversation with, taxi drivers I can start a conversation with. Before all of this, I used to occasionally get a taxi driver who you could tell was very much not a chatter. It always used to make me laugh that we'd sit in the car together and I'd try and start some conversation with him and he'd just be like,
yes, no, yes.
And I got the hint after about trip 3 and thought, do you know what, it's fine. He doesn't want to talk. I'll say good morning, we're done. So I guess a little bit, but not hugely. If you've temporarily put your plans on hold, you make sure it is your top priority to get back on track as soon as possible. Not really. I'm a nightmare for it. I've said that the only reason stand-ups really lasted for me is I have a very good friend, Vic Slayton, whose channel I will link you below because I love her. She has been instrumental in going, when's your next gig? When's your next gig? And I'd be like, I haven't booked one yet. And she'd be like, well, go and book one. I'd be okay, fair enough. If something goes wrong that's out of my control, it's so hard to answer that question. Like, comedy's been completely put on hold because of the world being in the middle of a pandemic, which is a fairly good reason to put everything on hold. I think I'm better at it now than I used to be. My biggest problem is I forget stuff. So I would say I'm not great at getting back on track with stuff, but equally I'm not nearly as bad as I used to be. You rarely worry if you made a good impression on someone you met. I guess I do a tiny bit. I always used to be terrified that people were going to hate me. Like, it was imperative that everybody loved me. Because I'm such a good person. If you don't think I'm a good person, then I must be a terrible person. But, you know, counselling. But if you take one look at me and decide that I'm not for you, then I'll live. It would be a challenge for you to spend a whole weekend all by yourself without feeling bored. Nah. If 8 weeks has proven me anything, it's that I'm totally cool with being on my own. You often contemplate the reasons for human existence or the meaning of life. A little bit, I guess. I mean, I'm in a strange position in that, unlike all other women, allegedly, I couldn't give a stuff about having kids. But there's an aspect of me that's like, well, if I don't have kids, will I be forgotten when I'm dead and gone? And the answer is yes. Here we go. Let's go. This is going to be interesting. I hope it's a different one from like 4 years ago. Evolve like a Vulpix. Oh, you kidding? So I'm still a mediator, but I am an INFPA. Whereas before I was a T. So I wonder what the difference there is. Oh, look at that. Almost a 50% introverted extroverted. Mediator personality is a true idealist, always looking for the hint of good in even the worst of people and events, searching for ways to make things better. I'd agree with that. While they may be perceived as calm, reserved, or even shy, mediators have an inner flame and passion that can truly shine. Comprising just 4% of the population, really? The risk of feeling misunderstood is unfortunately high for the mediator personality type. But when they find like-minded people to spend their time with, the harmony they feel will be a fountain of joy and inspiration. The strength of their visionary communication style lends itself well to creative works. And it comes as no surprise that many famous mediators are poets, writers, and actors. Understanding themselves and their place in the world is important to mediators, and they explore these ideas by projecting themselves into their work. Oh man, that's spot on. Strengths. Idealistic. Mediators' friends and loved ones will come to admire and depend on them for their optimism. I've literally said on stage, at the end of a story, do not come from me because I will destroy you with relentless optimism. And there's a thing that says, what's the difference between INFPA and INFPT? Oh, it's the difference between assertive and turbulent. That's really interesting. So I was turbulent before and now I'm assertive. I completely agree with that. 85% of assertive mediators say they felt comfortable in themselves compared to 40% of turbulent mediators. That's so interesting because for me, that's the biggest change in the last 4 years. This 12-minute quiz I've basically hyper-focused on for about an hour and a half. So now is probably a good time to leave it. Maybe you learned a little bit more about me? I certainly did, even if a lot of it was to go, no, I've changed that. But, you know, that's probably a good thing, because it's clearly things I identified with 4 years ago. And yet, now I'm an assertive badass. Thanks for watching. Give us a like, a subscribe maybe. Turn on the notifications if you actually want to get told when I release a new video. Because as one of my friends told me, she subscribed but had no notification that the Animal Crossing thing went up. Join the cool gang. Join Cool and the gang. And I will catch you again. Bye!